Hello class, today we are working on day 5 of our plant cells book. So that's going to be found in your Google Classroom. Look under our classroom, open that up, you're going to find it on that bottom shelf. It's the cover that says plant cells on it. Today we are going to be reading through pages 30 to 37. So when you open it up, it's going to look just like this. And as we read today, I'd like you to read along out loud with me, just like you would if you were sitting right here in the classroom. When we read out loud and can hear the words that we're reading, it helps us to become a little bit better reader. And if we get stuck, we can hear what somebody else is reading and kind of helps us to figure out what the words are. So in this section, you're going to notice that we have two text structures, just like we did in the last day's reading. So the first text structure that we have is going to be a simple listing. So in that case, we can just use the headings to stop and kind of summarize what's going on there. So you can see like this one says sickly plant cells, and then we have causes, we have what other agents make plants sick. So just simple listings for those topics there. And then the second part, when we get down to the protist, which is down here, is actually compare and contrast. So we're talking about here where it says one-celled plants, and so they're going to kind of be comparing them to each other, and then they're going to tell about some differences. So we'll want to be paying attention to that, because in our bookworms today, we're going to have some work to do with that, with those similarities and differences. So we are going to be talking about or reading about two topics today. The first topic is about disease, as you can see from our title up here, where it says, do plants get sick? A disease is a threat to health. So starvation or severe weather might also threaten health, but they're not diseases. A disease has symptoms, treatments, sometimes cures. For humans, diabetes and cancer would be examples of diseases. A plant disease is a type of threat to a plant's life. Drought is also a threat, but that's not a disease. A disease is caused by a virus, bacterium, or fungus. Examples of plant diseases would be rotting roots, lumps on stems or branches, spots on leaves. We're going to find out more on that today. And then the second topic we're going to read about is unicellular plants or protists. Unicellular is our vocabulary word for today. I feel like we might have had that same vocabulary word when we were working on our animal cells books, but unicellular just means made up of only one cell. So we have that prefix uni, means one, and then the root cell means unit of life. And there are some animals and plants that are unicellular. So we are going to be learning about three types of unicellular plants today. Those are going to be dinoflagellates, chrysophytes, and diatoms. So let's go ahead and start reading. So do plants get sick? When plants get sick, they react differently from animals. As with animals, when plants become very sick, they die. Sickly plant cells. A plant needs 4 conditions for it to become sick. First, the plant must be the right host, or site, to take over for a disease. Some diseases only attack tobacco, while others attack only roses or only cucumber vines, for example. Second, the environment must support the disease. It cannot be too hot, cold, dry, or wet. Third, a virus, bacterium, or fungus must be on the plant or in the soil. Fourth, the disease must have enough time to take over the plant. This plant here suffers from a fungal infection that leaves blotches on the leaves. Causes of sick plants. Bacteria, fungi, and viruses can make plants sick, just as they make people sick. There are about 3,500 types of bacteria, one-celled organism with no nucleus, that make plants sick. Most are found in tropical and subtropical areas. Fungi, organisms that reproduce by spores, cause blotches or white mildew on plants. They can also cause roots to rot, making plants die from the bottom up. Viruses, protein molecules that cause disease, can be carried to plants by windblown soil, water, worms, or insects. Once in a plant, a virus invades the cells and takes over. Viral infections kill cells, cause yellow areas on leaves, or form swollen lumps on stems or branches. So what other agents make plants sick? Plants also get sick from insects that can cause damage to trunks, stems, and leaves. When insects bore into a trunk or stem, they cut off the flow of water and nutrients through the plant. Leaf-eating insects eat so much leaf material that plants cannot make enough food to keep themselves healthy. Plants infested with insects often starve to death. So let's pause right here and recap. How can plants starve if insects are eating their leaves? Go ahead and answer that now. Here we have a picture. It says caterpillars cut down on the amount of leaf surface of a plant, limiting the amount of food that it can make. Signs of sickness. Sick plants do not show the same signs of illness as people or animals. They do not moan, shiver, or vomit. Typical signs of a sick plant include shriveled leaves, small fruit, or rot. Plants may also have blotches, blight, canker, and galls. Blotches are spots on leaves. Blight makes leaves dry up or shrivel. Canker develops a dry, dead section on a plant's stem or a tree's trunk. Galls are large growths on a plant, usually on a stem, branch, or trunk. All of these are signs that plant cells are reacting to a disease. This says tomato plant cells protect themselves from attack by producing toxins. I think we're going to be reading about that on this next page here. Here's a science tools spotlight. It says centrifuge. Scientists use a special machine called a centrifuge to separate organelles. A centrifuge is simply a machine that spins around very fast to create a useful force. When studying cell parts, scientists use a powerful centrifuge to spin cells. The centrifuge moves so fast that the organelles spin out of the cells. Scientists can use this machine to help identify viruses affecting plants. Wow, sounds like a pretty neat tool. So how do plants fight disease? Cells produce other chemicals to ward off disease. When they are attacked by disease, plants rely on the immune system much like animals do. Cells fight disease in a sort of chemical war. Plants fend off invading insects, for example, by producing toxins or poisons. The toxins are generally proteins produced in the plant cells. After one taste, most bugs, birds, and other critters stay away. When a disease agent attacks a plant, the plant cells detect the invader. The cells produce a type of protein that fights bacteria, fungi, and viruses. The protein spreads throughout the plant, finds the invader, and destroys it. Some plants have a third line of defense. They kill cells surrounding the diseased area to stop the disease from spreading. The dead cells form a safety zone that may save the plant. So a quick recap here. Go ahead and answer this question. How can plants fight diseases? Down here we have a diagram. It says a sick plant kills some healthy cells to surround the invading disease. So they're pointing out to us, this is like what I was saying here in that last couple paragraphs. So here's the disease in the pink, is what they're showing us. And then they've got these cells around it that they killed off. So that way it forms this barrier from the healthy cell. So are there really one-celled plants? Breathe in, breathe out. There's a very good chance that the oxygen you breathed in was the waste from a one-celled, also called unicellular, plant. Billions of one-celled plants float in the ocean, in lakes and ponds, and in rivers and streams. During photosynthesis, they expel or release oxygen. Most one-celled plants are called protists. Scientists break up the protist group into protozoa, so animal-like, algae, and fungus-like protists. Algae refers to a variety of plants, some of which are simple and some of which are complicated. Algae are water dwellers and need sunlight to survive. Like rose bushes and apple trees, algae make their own food through photosynthesis. One-celled plants form the bottom of the food chain. This means that they feed insects and other small creatures, which in turn feed larger creatures. So let's recap right here. Why are algae so important? One-celled algae. One-celled forms of algae include dinoflagellates, chrysophytes, and diatoms. Algae come in many different colors, from the deep red of dinoflagellates to the golden yellow of chrysophytes to the browns and greens of seaweed. Dinoflagellates. 90% of all dinoflagellates are plants that float on the surface of seawater or ocean water. Dinoflagellates have rigid cell walls made of cellulose and two tail-like parts made of protein. The tail-like parts help these red-brown algae move. The plants can produce a poison that kills many sea creatures. Red tides along coastlines are massive clusters of tiny toxin-filled dinoflagellates. Some species of dinoflagellates glow in the dark. Neat. And this would be a picture of a dinoflagellate here. They're one-celled marine plants that move by flicking their long tails. Chrysophytes. Some chrysophytes are clear, but most are golden or golden brown algae. Chrysophytes live in ponds and lakes where water is still and slightly acidic. They are a main food source for tiny freshwater animals. Chrysophytes have rigid cell walls like dinoflagellates, but they are made stronger with silica like diatoms. Chrysophytes get their food through photosynthesis, and so that was like the dinoflagellates and the diatoms here. So diatoms. Scientists believe that diatoms are the key to life on our planet. The air we breathe is oxygen-rich because these plants float on oceans, lakes, and seas. Let's recap real quick right here. Why are diatoms useful? Diatoms live in ponds and puddles too. During photosynthesis, phytoplankton, which includes diatoms, produce slightly more than half of the oxygen that we breathe every day. Diatoms produce more carbon than the world's rainforest. Diatoms are considered to be among the best-looking one-celled living things. Their cell walls are made of silica, the same material that makes glass. Diatoms are as delicate as snowflakes and as brittle as a thin glass ornament. They may be round or stringy, and they may live alone or in clusters. And here's a picture of a diatom here. So using dead diatoms. As diatoms die, they sink to the sea or lake floor and collect in the trillions. Diatomaceous earth, dirt filled with diatoms, is the result of these dead one-celled critters. The dirt is used in pool filters, in cleansers, and to get rid of cockroaches. The remains of diatoms might even end up in your toothpaste. So it sounds like diatoms are useful for many things. Euglena. Euglena is a protist that is unique. It is like a one-celled plant. It is also like a one-celled animal. Euglena forms a green scum on the surface of ponds. When sunlight is plentiful, Euglena makes its own food through photosynthesis. When it is in the dark, Euglena takes in tiny plants and animals, much like microscopic animals. So those ones are a little bit different from the other three we just learned about. Here is a picture. Diatomaceous earth is a collection of trillions of dead diatoms, so you'd have to look really close to see those, such as the one seen here. Okay, let's take a look at the work for today. I will tell you it's not terribly difficult today. So our first spot is to use these vocabulary words to create our super sentences. So of course you need to put the vocabulary word in the middle, and then you'll need to have at least 3 of these bubbles filled in. Same thing here with disease. You can read through the definition here, but you will be filling in at least 3 of these bubbles and putting the vocabulary word here before you complete your super sentence on the line here. Let's look at day 2. If you notice, I've helped you out here. It wanted us to compare and contrast the 3 types of algae in a short essay using this frame that they gave us, and I went ahead and gave you most of what you need. All you'll need to do on here is fill in the blanks from the reading. Looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spots to fill in, and then you'll be done. In order to do that, what you'll need to do is click over here on the text box. You will need to create your text somewhere that's not on top of here. So maybe create your text somewhere down here, and then you'll just pull it and move it so that it's on top of the line. When you're all finished with filling in those blanks, you will be done with the assignment for today, and you can turn it in. Thanks.